Okay, great. Well, welcome everyone to the Global Stock Pitch Showcase. I am James Fletcher, founder of Young Investor Society and president and portfolio manager at APG Asset Management. It's wonderful to see your smiling faces. This is a chance to just celebrate as a financial community, celebrate Utej and Shivam. When we founded Young Investor Society, as many of you know, it started with a letter from a young man named Edgar that said, my visit to his class changed his life. And so many of the kids felt empowered by my visit. And I realized the power of that bridge between financial professionals that care and that want to give back and kids. And ever since then, it's been one of our goals just to have as many bridges as we can between the kids and the financial community. And Utej and Shivam, this is your chance and your opportunity. We're giving you this bridge to a great community of financial professionals that believe in you, that are proud of you, and want to celebrate you. For those of you who aren't familiar with Young Investor Society, um, we founded Young Investor Society a little over 5.5 years ago. It started with an idea to teach financial literacy the right way, to teach savings and budgeting and investing and long-term fundamental investing principles. And through that, we have a number of programs. So today we'll witness the stock pitch competition. Why do we do the stock pitches? Why do we do the analysis? Because instead of rewarding short-term stock performance or trying to create a portfolio that outperforms the market over 3 months, which basically encourages a gambler's and risk-taking mentality, we want to teach kids the analysis skills. And what I love about the stock pitch is it's not just about buying and selling the stock. It combines accounting, it combines business analysis and consulting, it combines history, it combines psychology and human behavior, and it combines presentation skills and teamwork skills, and combines all of this into this presentation of why you think a company is a great investment, and not just a short-term investment, but a good long-term investment. But the stock pitch is not the only program that we have. We have the Shark Tank competition. We have been honored to have Mark Cuban as our guest twice, Barbara Corcoran, and this year our meet and greet was with Damon John, which was just such a pleasure to meet him, and the winning student got to have a meet and greet with Damon John. We have our CYIA designation, which is the Certified Young Investment Analyst. This is the highest achievement within Young Investor Society and requires that students not only participate and are active in Young Investor Society, but pass a rigorous test, achieve a certain GPA, contribute service hours, and have letters of recommendation from their teachers. So it's an all-encompassing showcase for the students. And lastly, but not least, we have our $1 a day challenge, which is, instead of just teaching about personal finance and investing, we incentivize creating a savings habit for kids when they're young. So we challenge them to save $1, $1 US, or it's different in other countries, but $1 US per day, and they are eligible for a $1 a day match. And we've done Young Investor Society forums this year, which were a huge hit. We had a global online program where all the kids around the world could participate each week if they had missed their individual club. And it just shows how Young Investor Society is meeting more and more needs. And speaking of more and more needs, it started with 6 schools 5.5 years ago. And now it looks like this month, Young Investor Society will hit 1,000 schools around the world. So in over 20 countries and in over 42 states in the United States, we are reaching over 7,000 kids, and it's just amazing to see 1,000 schools that we're able to support, and the special effort that we've made, especially over the past couple of years, has been with our Access Initiative. And this is to really give underserved kids and underserved schools the chance to participate in all the Young Investor Society programs, and we provide scholarships, and we really are making a push to represent through the Access Initiative. So I'm just so proud of the Young Investor Society team. I'm proud of Christine for handling all the day-to-day and really spearheading it. And I'm grateful for all of you volunteers, board members, to participate in this journey with us. So with that, I would like to turn the time over to the stars of the show today, Utej and Shivam, to present their 2021 winning stock pitch on Salesforce.
So you've seen the historic runs of companies that end up on Reddit's Wall Street Bets or Elon Musk's Twitter. You've seen them rally day after day, but fall just as fast. Maybe you were tempted yourself, but didn't want to endure the record highs and especially not the record lows. Well, we found a company whose potential is only outmatched by its reliability. Hello, fellow investors and guests. My name is Shivam Suri.
And my name is Utej Manava.
And we are research analysts from Central Peel Secondary School, here today to pitch Salesforce.com, ticker symbol CRM. We recommend longing Salesforce, the software CRM company, which currently trades at $205.68 as of March 25th, due to the fact that it's undervalued by a calculated 23.4%. The market has incorrectly overemphasized the tech sector's decline, and there's significantly more upside due to the recent Slack acquisition than priced in. They've beat out the S&P 500 over the last year, thus showing strong and investable growth. We have also seen increased growth over the pandemic and expect growth beyond, which has created exposure for the importance of online customer and business relations.
Now, what exactly is Salesforce? Salesforce.com is the world's #1 customer relationship management or CRM platform. They produce cloud-based applications for managing sales, service, marketing, and much more. Some key LTM financials include $21.3 billion in revenues and $3.3 billion in EBITDA, and this translates to LTM multiples of 46.7 PE and 8.9 PS. A breakdown of their fourth quarter 2021, they had total revenues of $5.82 billion, up 20% year over year, of which 94% was attributed to subscription and support, and another 6% to professional services and other revenues. We believe there's an underestimated potential of the digital transformation spend because analysts forecast a slight revenue decline in fiscal year 2022, but the global digital transformation spend is expected to reach an inflection point very soon. Now, before we move on, let's take a closer look at one of Salesforce's best-selling software, Sales. The Sales Cloud is an all-in-one cloud-based application that allows sales teams to effectively manage their cycles, prioritize tasks, access smart insights, and deepen customer relationships. It includes tools for contact management, sales forecasting, and managing leads. It's the #1 fully customizable platform to grow your digital sales.
The CRM industry is rapidly expanding and is experiencing a large boost from the pandemic. At the helm of this growth is Salesforce, whose great financials and services have kept them at the top. CRMs have a wide variety of applications and can be used to digitally transform any type of business, whether it deals with customers or internal controls. For companies using a mobile CRM, 65% are reaching their sales quota, while only 22% of companies using non-mobile CRMs have reached the same targets. The reach of mobile CRMs has also expanded drastically. The mobile CRM business will reach $15 billion worldwide by 2025. And by 2030, this market is expected to reach $80 billion in revenue, representing a 10.3% compound annual growth rate. This increase is driven by the fact that 47% of businesses are planning to increase spending on help desk and customer service software, while 60.7% of businesses will be investing more into the digital marketer's wallet, which is an estimated $600 million.
Now, for our first thesis, we're covering Salesforce's very high switching costs. First, the gateway. Salesforce products have a compelling value proposition for typical IT enterprises. The most popular application, as we showed earlier, Sales, hooks clients by reducing physical assets and migrating their data to the cloud. And this addresses the most immediate pain point for most customers. Next comes the cross-sell opportunity, because Salesforce uses data collection to deepen customer relationships, thus increasing their switching costs. The company has effectively turned sales expertise into customer reliance on other products in their suite. In fact, single cloud customers or single subscription customers increased their average number of subscriptions 2.1 times from 1.8 to 3.6 in the last 4 years alone. And the end game, there isn't one, because each cross-sell strengthens customer integration into the robust ecosystem. The platform stickiness increases with each reliable product, and this is proven by the company's highly consistent CAGR for TAM growth across all cloud offerings in the Customer 360 suite. For our second thesis, we cover their accretive acquisition strategy. Since 1999, Salesforce has employed an acquisition strategy to build a rounded suite of products. Key purchases such as Demandware and Quip have now become applications known as commerce and productivity, respectively. Their acquisitions allow them to service a large variety of customer needs. For example, the purchase of Tableau in 2019, which strays from their cloud-focused mission to support businesses with legacy infrastructure. In addition to their CRM cloud applications, Salesforce now provides a holistic solution to access insights from all types of systems. And the Slack acquisition closing in the second quarter of this year is a recent purchase. Projections indicate a $4 billion revenue mark by fiscal year 2026, or a 38% 4-year CAGR. This pushes total 2026 revenue targets to $50 billion plus, culminating to a 19% 4-year CAGR. And as we can see, this move presents very high hopes following Slack's integration into the suite. Salesforce also dominates the competition through its brand, customer stickiness, and economy of scale. They boast a reputation for creating applications to help businesses grow, and innovation has kept the company at the forefront since 1999. They also benefit from customer stickiness because CRM can cross-sell customers subscribe to any application within their suite. They also see the advantage of an economy of scale because being a dominant competitor allows them to increase their velocity of sales while reducing scaling and customer acquisition costs. And this is summarized in our Porter's 5 forces analysis, which also indicates Salesforce is way ahead of the competition because their one-stop shop operations keep customers who prefer using similar services from the same provider for reasons including security and lower fees. An example is Office 365. We've located opportunities for Salesforce to grow their revenues. First, their product portfolio has rapidly expanding TAMs. They predict rapid adoption of business products, most notably, as we showed earlier, sales, with a predicted 11% 4-year CAGR, and this culminates to a $175 billion TAM for the entire suite by 2025. Next, companies prefer adoption of the full suite of products because multi-cloud subscriptions represent 93% of their annual recurring revenue in fiscal year 21, indicating a strong preference for the full ecosystem. Thus, their Customer 360 suite presents a strong value proposition. And lastly, their international expansion potential. Salesforce is way over-indexed to certain regions with 66% of their annual recurring revenue from North America alone. But they've also underpenetrated in Europe and hold a very negligible share of APAC and Africa.
Salesforce is expected to see some major growth, and some direct catalysts to suggest this growth is their upcoming merger with Slack, which will give them a larger asset portfolio as well as a larger customer base, their year-end earnings report, which projects a 21% increase in 2021, and the expansion of Sales Cloud 360, a way for businesses to use artificial intelligence to compare yearly data that may have been skewed from something such as, say, a global pandemic. Now let's delve deeper into some of their finances. Their gross profit margin is well above industry norm, holding at least 62.27% for the last 1.5 years. They also have enough cash on hand to sustain themselves for a full year. That's twice the recommended time, which is a mere 6 months. They've also steadily increased EPS 4.7 times since 2019 and have a 36% asset turnover ratio. This asset turnover ratio, paired with their 28% quarterly growth in asset, suggests that future revenue growth is to come. Now, we believe that the valuation of Salesforce will greatly increase over the next 12 months, as per financial data accurate to March 25th, 2021. Our bear case sees an increase of 17.2%, our base case 23.4%, and our bull case sees an increase of 29.9%. These estimates were calculated based on a 5-year DCF EBITDA exit valuation method, as well as a 1-year EV over revenue multiple valuation method. These valuation methods require projected multiples to determine the share price. Thus, we use competitors, historical, and present multiples as the basis for our projections and calculations.
Now for some investment risks. First, the dilution of shareholders, because we know raising capital hurts shareholders in the short term, but long-term prospects are usually strengthened with Salesforce. We give consideration to 60 plus acquisitions that have proved successful for CRM since 1999. Next is a customer data breach. To avoid this, Salesforce invests in layered encryption. Customers are also much safer allocating their business processes to one software provider versus multiple distributors. And lastly, the entrance of new competitors. High switching costs and Salesforce's reputation will keep customers reliant on their product suite.
Salesforce has made value and efforts to be clear and transparent with their ESG information. For environmental sustainability, they show full transparency in the fact that although their recent carbon emissions have increased year over year, the rate of growth is slowing and is much less than industry average. They also strive for social equity for all. According to the company, they plan to have 50% of all workers be underrepresented groups. And lastly, they operate with integrity. Proof of this comes from the fact that they were named Ethisphere's 2020 World's Most Ethical Companies due to the fact that their internal policies, which describe the way that they treat employees and other key global stakeholders, are very extensive. This extensive list of code of conduct rules also imply that all who associate with Salesforce must agree and abide by them. So as you can see, Salesforce has an extensive list of catalysts that can help accelerate their business, excellent financials to help them gain market share, and a strong ESG system with deep care for their consumers. Thus, for these reasons, as well as the ones previously mentioned, we believe Salesforce is a strong investment for the upcoming years. And with that, we thank everyone for coming. Hope you can see our bullish thesis on Salesforce and want to give a digital cheers to making money.
Great job, guys. Excellent job. So I have a few questions for our team that I'm sure others would like to know the answers to as well. So let's start with, how did you guys find Young Investor Society?
Yeah, I can take this question. I'd say we already developed an interest in investing for the past year, and we were looking for investment-related competitions just to test our skills. But our search for a stock pitch competition specifically, it only yielded university level events, at least in our region. And we're definitely not ready to enter these yet. But finally, we stumbled on YAS shortly after the 2020 global competition ended. So we did some further digging and found out it was actually for high school students, and that definitely piqued our interest. And then here we are after this year's competition.
Excellent, great. So how did you guys come up with your stock pitch idea of Salesforce?
Well, as investors ourselves, we keep watch on many different stocks and funds. So we were already pretty familiar with the company. And since we both kept a close eye on it, we were genuinely interested in its offerings, and we wanted to look into it further. So we wanted to look for something that could thrive digitally in this new environment and not perform well simply due to the fact that the recent climate of the world has changed drastically. We also had some personal contacts who worked in the industry, and they've recently adapted mobile CRMs due to the pandemic. So after we talked to them a little bit and had some deliberation, as well as our own personal research, we ended up finalizing the choice.
Great. Now, have you guys actually started investing with what you've learned in Young Investor Society?
Yeah, we were already investing in various financial markets before we found YIS. But I'd say this competition gave us the chance to hone our research and valuation skills over the course of the last few weeks. But we'll definitely use these skills and continue to work on them in our future investing endeavors.
Great, great. Did you guys participate in any of our other YIS programs this year?
So at the time of the global competition, we had no prior experience with YIS. Our sole focus was basically stock pitching, as we already invest ourselves and we had participated in numerous other stock pitches at this time. So when we came across YIS, the global stock pitch competition was really our first priority, and it was also the first one to catch our eyes.
Nice, nice. So do you guys think that you'll be continuing on next year in our program?
Yeah, I definitely think so. Specifically, we really look forward to next year's stock pitch competition, which would be an opportunity to see like our own personal growth over the coming year, as well as see like how the markets change with the changing world climate, because it's not going to stay constant for the next year, hopefully, as well as learning from other people and their pitches. But I'd say another ambitious next step would be to get the CFA Institute certification, which would help us establish more professional career-specific skills.
Excellent. So that leads me to my next question, which is, what are your plans for the future?
So on an education standpoint, we plan to get business degrees from hopefully top Canadian universities. And with our passion for investing, we aim to work in the finance industry. More specifically, probably investment banking and potentially moving into either private equity or a hedge fund. But opportunities to break into those major American banking chains, such as your Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Chase Banks of the world, they're pretty limited from Canada, but it is something that we would both be interested in breaking into. But however, before we go into any of that, we would like some experience in the industry, probably via internships. It's quite difficult for us at the high school level. We don't really get many chances to prove ourselves. A lot of firms exclusively require applicants to be taking their undergraduate degree. So on that front, our options are a little bit limited. Thus, for the short term, we plan to improve our connections, but also find opportunities where we can show some work experience, as well as show how valuable we can really be.
Excellent. You, Tej, did you have anything to add?
No, I'd say Shubham definitely has summarized it for us.
Excellent. So James, did you have anything to add before I move on to our words of wisdom?
No, let me just introduce the next segment. So we thought, Utej and Shivam, how can we give you the most reward we can? And one can be through internship. So I guess I'd say to anyone on this call, or anyone that knows someone that is on this call, or on this call that knows someone, here are two very talented and great high school analysts and could make great interns. The second thing we thought about, how can we reward you or give you something in return? And we thought if we could just package 1 minute of the best advice from various of our contributors and volunteers and board members, that this would be priceless for you, and heck, priceless for me as well. So the next segment we'd like to introduce is just a few of our selected financial professionals are going to take 60 seconds and say one piece of advice they wish they would have known when they were your age, and now they're passing on to you.
Excellent. So let's start with Manny Sonoha. Manny is one of our regional advisory board members on the West Coast. Great to see you today, Manny. If you wanted to go ahead and start.
Yes, absolutely. It's my pleasure. So as young professionals, there will definitely come a time in your career where you will need to courageously lead others the right way. And what James touched on a little earlier. And maybe even doing what's right when it's not the most popular thing to do. Warren Buffett is credited for saying that it's better to hang out with people that are better than you. Pick out associates whose behavior is better than yours, and you'll tend to drift in that direction. As the wisdom from Mr. Buffett suggests, you do have a choice when it comes to who you surround yourself with in both life and in business. I believe that. And by choosing the right people to spend your time with, doing what's right will be made that much easier. Working well with others is one thing, managing them is another. And surely you may already have been faced with the challenges of both, even at a young age. But being an authentic and courageous leader, especially in a world today where there is so much conflict and so much disagreement, this will undoubtedly be one of the hardest challenges, I believe, to bring shareholders and all stakeholders together for the common good of all people from a variety of backgrounds and races. One of my favorite authors from grad school that really stuck out to me, his name was Clayton Christensen. He's a late Harvard business professor, and he says that it's easier to hold your principles 100% of the time when it is as it is instead of holding them 98% of the time. And I believe that too. Indeed, your success will have much more to do, will have so much less to do with your education and so much more to do with your personal integrity and how many people you help along the way. The more people you help, the more success will find you. So in summary, you can never go wrong by doing what's right. Choose to spend your time with those who share your common values. And last, never be too busy to help and serve other people who are in need along the way. Wishing you all the best, and God bless you all. Thank you, guys.
Hey, thanks so much, Manny. That was amazing. Thank you. Rebecca Sin, did you want to give your 60 seconds?
Hi, everyone. First off, congratulations. Very excited that you guys won. I'm also from Canada. So Christine, if you can connect me with them, I can maybe help them out on the internship. I'm from Toronto, but I live in Hong Kong right now. So my advice to you is, one, you don't need to study finance in university. So for instance, I studied engineering and math, and I still ended up becoming a stock trader. So, study something that you're very passionate about. And then the other thing is that it's never too early to start giving back. So given that you guys are the winners this year, I'm sure there's a lot of people that would be very happy and keen to talk to you. And so you can always start giving back as early as now. And so keep up the great work and good luck.
Excellent, great. Rebecca, I'll definitely be following up with you to give you their email addresses so you can reach out to them. Steve Barris, did you want to give your words of wisdom?
Sure, thank you so much. So on the investment side, I work for Fidelity Investments, and Peter Lynch was a very famous investor who was actually an understudy of Benjamin Graham. And his famous advice was buy what you know. So on the investment side of things, if you don't know and understand the company, then don't waste your time, because you're going to end up getting hurt by that, in my opinion. And I've given that advice to my clients. I'm not a stock trader, I'm more of a planner and helping my clients to retire. But a lot of clients will come to me and say, I want to buy XYZ because this guy at the gym told me I should buy that. That's usually a mistake. So buy what you know is my first piece of advice. Second, I was thinking about this, this moment that I would have, and going back to a little bit of what Rebecca said, don't get so focused on one area that you forget about other things that you can learn and grow from. I like to think of the analogy of an eagle soaring over the sky looking for its prey. It has a very broad perspective and looks at a lot of different areas, but then as soon as it finds something that it's passionate about, which is a meal, it dives down and commits 100% to that one thing. So I hope in your life that you'll spend those times flying and soaring and looking at all the other things that are out there in the world, not just finance, but seeing what else you can experience, and then finding the things that you're passionate about and going after those wholeheartedly. And just again, repeating what Rebecca said, one of the things that brings me so much joy and passion is participating in YIS and giving back some of the knowledge that I have. So congratulations to the two of you. Go out there and serve other people and help them, and it'll make you even happier than any amount of money in the world. So I'll share that with you. Thank you all.
Great, thanks so much, Steve. All right, Sean Alexander, are you ready?
Yep, I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, so mine's a little bit of advice that served me well. It's not very exciting, but something that I was told early on in my professional life. And it's, you can't always be right, but you can always be on time. And it's a little bit of a just kind of how you handle yourself as you go about your life. You can always be a little bit early for things, always be professional. It served me well. If I can't do something for somebody, I say I can't. But I was always the first one to get into the office when I started my career. Always ask the senior people around me, how can I help you? What can I do? As much as just going to get coffees for them in the morning, even though they would buy. I know that's a little, we're not allowed to say that stuff anymore, but try to be as helpful as you can to the people above you and learn from them, and be the first guy in, or the first woman in, be on time for stuff, be 5 minutes early. I think this advice is something that served me well. Even today, I got on 2 minutes late to the call. I was like, man, James is here already. I should have been the first on. So anyway, little life advice. Not as kind of exciting as some of the other stuff, but it's served me well in my career.
Excellent, thanks so much, Sean.
I thought it would be more useful if I took my mute off. The advice I have is participate. And what I mean is that when for business, even at this stage, people go out for business and they complain about this. They don't want to be in committees. They don't want to speak up. So there's like a internal conference, and who has anything to say? They don't say anything, and they complain later. And I don't find that very productive or helpful. So I would say participate. When there's a committee you can be on, ask to be on it. When someone asks for your opinion, give your opinion. If you can work late and help someone out with a project, do that. Just get involved, because people will see that. When he talked about showing up on time, I thought about that, because he's right. Show up on time, show up early rather, and stay late if you can. Do things on the weekend, read books when people aren't forcing you to do it. In our business, someone had a line that they told me once. They said, people will tell you they had 15 years of experience, but they really don't. They have 1 year of experience 15 times. They don't want to grow. They don't want to learn. Be in a growth mode all the time, in learning mode. So sort of a summary, a composite of what everyone said before me, but absolutely participate. You are the architect of your future. And the more you do to help yourself, the less excuses you make, the more successful you are going to be.
Great, great words of advice, David. Rebecca.
I'll jump in and follow on David's comments. You know, remember your ABCs. Always be curious. That is the growth. So the ABCs sounds very simple, but huge. Always be curious. And I love what you guys said about, you know, you guys are working on connecting with people, building relationships. That's great. A huge pat on your back. Give yourself a huge pat on your back for, you know, having the wisdom at this stage to be going out and building those relationships, because you can analyze just about anything. We can do all of that, but ultimately, whether you're working with clients, whether you're working with colleagues, this is a relationship profession and this is a relationship business. So it was great listening to your presentation tonight. Thank you.
All right. Well, why don't I just take a minute at the end? I mean, first of all, thank you to Utej and Shivam. Amazing presentation as you've done previously. Congratulations on the amazing year. We are just so proud to showcase you as what Young Investor Society can produce in the next generation. And thank you to the volunteers, and thank you for all of you for your words of wisdom. I was inspired myself and was writing those down, and I'm so grateful to be, like Manny said, affiliated with people that are better than me and that bring me up, and all of you I count certainly in that camp. The $1 a day challenge we'd like to end with. This is one of our funnest and most inspiring ways to get involved and bridge the community with kids. This is, Christine, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the actual pictures of all 100 of the winning $1 a day sponsorships, right?
Yes, we're actually short a few, so don't exactly count them, but yes, this is 97% of them.
Beautiful. So as you know, we encourage kids to start saving and actually building financial habits rather than just learning about it academically. And if they are learning and investing, then they can write an essay and they're eligible for a $1 a day match. And here are our 100 selected essays. Many of these are from the Access Initiative, so underserved communities. And these are the kids that are will receive $365 to match them for their good work this year in their savings habits. And so we are so proud of these kids, so proud of our community, and proud of all that we're able to teach them. At the end of the school year, as many of you know, we do a $1 a day student sponsorship. So a gift of $365 will sponsor one student. A gift of $730 will sponsor two, and a gift of $1,825 will sponsor 5 students. And our goal is to reach $36,500, which will be all 100 of our students that are sponsored directly through the community. The fun thing about this is that when you sponsor a student, you're matched with them, you know, you get their picture, you get their profile, and they receive your information as well. So it becomes a personal match, and it becomes meaningful for both you and for the student. So if this is meaningful and you're able to sponsor a student, we'd encourage you to do so. If you know others that may be interested, or corporations that you work for, this is the time when we can really make a difference. 100% of the donations go directly to the kids, and you get that immediate match. So donate at yis.org, and through PayPal or through Venmo or through online. And let's all do our part to bless the lives of these kids. With that, we will wrap it up. Thank you for being here for the showcase. It has been just an amazing year. I mean, we started the school year with 480 schools in the throngs of the COVID pandemic. And we wondered, I mean, whether we would even survive as an organization this year. And to have the outpouring of growth and participation from the students, and the outpouring of support from the financial community has just been so inspiring. So we are going to hit 1,000 schools, and that's the start of thousands and thousands more to come. And I thank you all for your support, and I congratulate again Utej and Shivam for just representing all that we do so marvelously today. So with that, have a wonderful evening or morning wherever you are, and thank you to the Young Investor Society community.